Hello, I'm Hugh Coakley from the Guildford Dragon News. Guildford Borough Council have a long list of major projects, about 20 in total, and from publicly available data, they're costed about between 400 and 500 million. They're in various stages of development, and they range from a Guildford bike share scheme to replacement of spectrum at about 200 million. Now, the man who will be guiding these major projects through to implementation is Councillor John Rigg. He's the R4GV member for Holy Trinity and the lead member for major projects on the executive. John, thanks very much for talking to the Guildford Dragon News.
Pleasure, Hugh.
Could you tell us a little bit about your background and your new major project role?
Okay. Well, I'm a chartered surveyor. I started in practice in 1973, working at the Greater London Council. I have been in private practice till I retired in 2016. I was head of Central London and head of international investment at DTZ, a large practice, and then subsequently at Savills. I have always been passionate, as long as I've lived in Guildford, about having a better town centre and addressing some of the issues. And in 2011 I formed the Guildford Vision Group to try and address some of our serious issues.
And your new role, John? So
The new role is as of May this year, when we'd formed a new political party and we were elected to the council. I've joined the executive and I'm responsible for major projects.
And how do you see that role panning out for yourself?
Well, the first task is to familiarise myself with them. There's approximately 20 projects varying from £2 million to 250, and it is also to review whether they're the right projects with the new council and whether we can afford the projects. Clearly we are in difficult financial times and we have to be very, very careful what we take on.
Okay. As you say, you've been a long-time supporter, a keen supporter of having a local or a town centre master plan. What's happening about producing the master plan for the Guildford Town Centre at the moment?
Yes, I have. I couldn't understand why other towns across the UK were embarking on great projects to address traffic and address pollution and create public realm space, and particularly when we own so much land in the town centre. And so in 2011, as chair of Guildford Vision Group, we worked on a town centre master plan, and we were very keen to try and make the best of the town centre, and I'm still very keen. The focus of the council was on the local plan, so we didn't make very much progress, but now the local plan is through and now I'm elected, and the council recently passed a motion, unanimous motion, I'm pleased to say, to master plan the town centre. It's a big project, and it will take some years to do, but it really has to address the important issues, and the important issues are congestion, accidents, absence of town centre homes, opening up the riverside, all those kinds of things which really have been pushed to the back of the queue as too complicated. And that's what I want to have a go at making the best for Guildford. We should have a great town. We have a great town in the historic core, but other areas are desperately in need of attention.
Will it improve the level of architecture, the standard of architecture? I see that Norwich City Council won an architectural award for the quality and appearance of the new council ultra low energy homes.
Yeah.
You know, I see the new council homes in Park Barn near Applegarth Avenue. They're very blocky. They're not very inspiring. Will the new master plan help on that?
Well, every planning document you ever see says we want good design, but you ask people, give me an example, and they look at you blankly. But I think certainly we have to be more conscious of what the residents want and give the residents choice. and North Street, which we might come on to, I'm very keen that we should have a degree of choice which previously has not always been available.
Okay, so you think choice will improve the level of architecture?
I think,
Not sure, quite sure how.
I
but-
think you've got to offer people a choice of designs.
Okay.
If you say to people, what would you like to see in the way of architecture, not surprisingly, most people will look at you blankly. But show them a menu, say there's this design or that design or the other design, and they absolutely know what they like and what they expect and what they want to see in Guildford. And that site, if we can't do something really spectacular on North Street, we really ought to give up.
Right, so you want to give people an early view, an early choice.
I want to see some of the design evolution and the design and cladding choices. Now, we're very lucky in that potentially we expect the developer to be one of the better developers, very experienced, and has delivered some great projects in their day. But you can't take it for granted we're going to get the same in Guildford. We have to work at it, and I'm as committed as I can be to try and get some choice for the community.
Okay, brilliant. So projects take some time to get going, understandably,
They
and
certainly do.
you've inherited probably all of your projects, if not most, then all of your projects from the previous administration. I understand that you are carrying out reviews of the major projects.
Yep.
Early days, but have you taken any decisions? Have you made any significant changes so far?
Well, I'm very, very recently in the position, and I'm just reviewing the projects.
But the council's sort of 6 months in so far, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, but I haven't had full access to the officers because it was not my portfolio, but it is now my portfolio. And I'm meeting with officers and I'm understanding the projects. And they're really, most of them are very, very sensible projects. The projects were logically embarked upon and are being taken forward satisfactorily. But we do have to see what we can afford. And some of the projects are very, very large projects. The Slyfield regeneration, the Wayside as it's called, is going to be measured in hundreds of millions. I mean, we need the homes, and we certainly should be developing homes on brownfield sites. But there are other projects where we've got challenges.
Okay, Guildford Museum, 20 million. What's the latest news on
Well,
that?
Guildford Museum is a very exciting scheme, but that is a classic case of where's the money going to come from? And we've really got to work very hard to make sure that we get external funding to help bring it forward. And without external funding, I think it's going to be very challenging.
And we're looking for external funding now, are we?
The process of putting the pieces in place to do that, absolutely.
Walnut Bridge, 3.5 million.
Walnut Bridge, yeah. Well, I can't hide the fact that I've never been a fan of the Walnut Bridge. It's a very expensive project. It spills traffic onto Walnut Road, which is not a very safe location if we're going to try and speed up traffic on the bridge. The existing bridge seems perfectly adequate, but the main reason is we don't yet know what we're going to do on Bedford Wharf, and it is one of the most important sites for delivering what the town needs, and to try and reduce the options there with that particular footbridge and other possible decisions is something I'm concerned about.
Okay. GBC, Guildford Borough Council, declared a climate emergency in July this year.
Yep.
Okay. How will your role on the executive and as lead member for major projects, that key role, how will that contribute to this, solving the climate emergency?
Well, I have to tell you, there's a lot of Liberal Democrat new councillors, the young ones, and R4GV councillors who are absolutely passionate about it. So I think I'm going to have lots of scrutiny of any proposals, and quite rightly so. It's a serious issue. But what we're doing at the moment as a council is identifying what we can do, and that's one part of the equation, but it's also what the community can do, what we can ask the community to contribute. And that's a careful process, which again we're addressing. We do have to make a change to our lifestyles, and that agenda is not going to go away. In fact, it's going to become more and more central to everything we do, I think.
I don't hear a change there. Sorry, John. I sort of, it sounds to me a bit like business as usual. You know, we are going to make a change, but we haven't. Are we thinking of what sort of changes we're thinking
That's exactly
about?
what we're exactly.
Okay.
Hugh. That is exactly. It's all very well to have got a climate emergency. What are we going to do about it? You've got to drill down and find specifics.
Okay.
And you can't just do that one day. I'm going to, wake up and I'm going to have this fantastic moment where I've got all the answers.
Yeah.
It is what is deliverable, and I'm certainly as interested in everybody else.
How could major projects itself? So, for instance.
Well, some of them. I mean, the crematorium is nearly finished, but that's a project which there's not. It's underway and virtually completed. The Ash Road Bridge, which is a big project, we're reviewing that, and we'll have a look at those kind of projects.
For instance, houses on SARP, on the wayside, will they be zero energy houses?
I'm sure that will be the objective. I think there will, any new housing development, either local authority provided or by the private sector, everybody is mindful. And there will be new SPDs.
SPD is?
There's special development documents. They come from the local plan. The local plan is a basic picture for the future, and then the SPDs address flooding or environmental issues, and they are being drafted at the moment
by Guildford Borough?
By Guildford Borough Council. They will go out for scrutiny and they will be adopted.
Consultation?
Yes, and consultation of course, but they'll also be adopted and then they'll be imposed on planning applications.
Okay. Surprisingly, North Street development wasn't included on your list of major projects. Any reason for this?
Well, principally because the site is owned by M&G and they have a joint venture with Berkeley Homes, but we own about 17% of the site. I don't think we are hugely attracted to retaining that 17%. We're flexible about letting the developer get on with the project, but where it has value is it allows us to control the planning. And the problem with Solum, the large block on the station, is that the developer could go off and refer it to the planning appeal process and get exactly what the developer wanted. If we retain ownership of the site, we can work with the developer to get something we're happy with.
So you're going to use,
use
your leverage.
I'm not saying I'm going to win. I'm not going to win every battle, but I'm very keen that we should use that as leverage to get a scheme that the community are happy with. I've seen an early iteration of it. It is one that was prepared last autumn. And I've seen it quite recently, and I'm starting to get engaged and have discussions, and I'm hopeful as well. From a personal perspective, I'm very keen and hopeful we will have consultation as early as we can. I don't think there's any point consulting on a blank piece of paper.
It was going to be in the summer, wasn't it? So it's been delayed now?
I can't recall. It
was
last summer.
Was,
okay.
Yeah. No,
summer 2019.
Yes, it was going to be summer, and I'm just.
Yeah, I don't see it. It'll be. I can't see it before spring of next year.
Okay, interesting. So there's
I'm very keen that we have something to consult on.
Yeah.
Not just ask people what they'd like to see. I mean, clearly it's now dominated by residential. The retail world has changed.
Yeah.
But you still want to have the pedestrian routes through, you want high quality public realm. There's a complicated bus station which we've got to address and try and make sure that the quality of service is as good as it always was, if not better. Yeah. And so there's all those things to address. There's very little value, I think, in consulting on.
So will people be given a choice? We talked about the architectural thing.
That is I can't promise, but that is absolutely my ambition.
Okay, that's fantastic. Last questions. You've now been on the council for about 6 months. What has been your best bits and what has been your worst bits?
Gosh, good question. The best bits, and it's been good working with the Lib Dems. We've got on pretty well together, and so that's good. But the good bits are really being involved with all the questions of the day, listening to some of the debates, finding out. For instance, we had a presentation on food banks the other day, and all that, the whole aspect of or panoply of things that the council deal with are really eye-opening, and it is a great it's a great education for somebody who's retired to be really involved in the thick of things and understanding what the issues and the pressures are. So I'm enjoying that, and I'm enjoying working with my colleagues here and meeting the officers, and there's some very good officers, which is very reassuring.
And the worst bits?
The worst bit, I guess, is the time commitment. It literally is 7 days a week and full on. And I think your family's got to be very obliging, and I think that's probably the issue. But it may be this is just the first. I'm still in the first year. We're only 6 months in, and maybe it'll ease out.
And your hope for your achievement?
My hope, I want a spectacular town centre. The historic part's great, but if we're going to keep the town attractive, we've got to move with the times on some of the derelict areas, the surface car parks, which offer the great opportunity. I want a spectacular Guildford, and I want to put it on the map as a spectacular Guildford.
John, thank you very much.
Thank you, Hugh.